Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Okay, how's it, everyone? Oh my goodness, it's so nice to see some faces to names, and it's all becoming so real, just seeing all of you on a computer screen here. So firstly, thank you. I think most of you here have just put in such an incredible amount of time, energy, and effort in training, blood, sweat, and tears, literally. And I think tonight's efforts are really just to ensure that we understand what's happening logistically, that nobody feels overwhelmed. We know why we're doing this, which is why Wayne's going to give a nice little chat as well. We've got an exceptional, worldwide renowned athlete who's going to give us a bit of a breakdown. That's you, Nick. Give us a bit of a breakdown just on some tips. I think embarking, I know there's some incredibly fit people out there, but for a lot of us, embarking on a 100-kilometer journey over 24 hours is an absolute insane thing to do. And we're doing it because we want to change the lives and save the lives of children who are just being grossly impacted. And Wayne and his beautiful wife, Bianca, and Amy are all part of that team that are stepping in and doing things that most of us would dread to even dream of. And it's just such a pleasure to get behind you and be putting this together. So thank you. And we have Clive, legend Clive from Notties. The event is going to be starting and finishing at the Notties Hotel. And Clive is very graciously sort of babysitting us through the start and finish. And he's driven the route, he's found the route, he's gone out, he's spent his own money, time and effort and petrol and everything else to just support us with that. You know, who am I missing here? Chris. It's Chris's fault. I'm going to blame Chris that this is all actually happening. We came up with an idea months and months ago, and you know, this is where we're sitting today. So yeah, thank you everyone. That's short and sweet from me. I think I'm going to hand over to Wayne first, just to set why are we here? What is Unchain Our Children, and what does this mean to you, Wayne and Bianca and Amy? And by us getting behind you, what can we do to sort of really make a difference? So if we're going to put this baby on steroids, so to speak, you know, let's get a bit of a feel behind all of that. I think Nick is going to talk about the health and wellness and nutrition and everything else, and then I'm going to talk about operations. You know, what to do, where we're going to be, when to meet, etc., etc. And then questions and answers. If anyone's got anything they want to know, we will do our best to answer. And if we have no cotton clue, we'll figure the answer out at some point in the near future. So yeah, thanks guys. Over to you, Wayne.
Thanks, Dash. Thanks everyone on the chat this evening. Amy, you're going to have a word as well. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the initiative that you guys have taken to support us as a charity, as a non-profit organization. I see what we do as an organization. It's a calling. It's not a job. It's not a hobby. It's not something I do because I make money out of it. Basically, all the funding that Unchain Our Children is run on is people like yourselves who do donate small amounts of money. A large amount of money comes out of my day job, where I have to support victims and survivors and things like that. Amy knows firsthand the challenges we have daily. And I think what a lot of people, where they miss the issue here is they want to give stuff. They want to give nappies. They want to give formula. But formula and nappy, they do help. But it doesn't keep the organization running. It doesn't pay my social worker. It doesn't help Amy pay a bus ticket to get a traffic girl back on a bus from Joburg to Cape Town. We do need financing, and we need serious financing from corporate. So the fact that you guys have stepped up to the plate and are wanting to make that difference to assist us to do what we do and to be able to do what we do so much better, it's a godsend. It really is. So just in a nutshell, what Unchain Our Children focuses on is we are a counter-human trafficking organization in South Africa, and we have international successes that we can show. not like other organizations that just talk about things and, you know, that they don't talk, they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. So we've got court cases in high court where children have been sold by drug addict parents. The online sexual exploitation cases that we work with Homeland Security and the FBI. And that is a serious, serious problem that's sticking its head out in our communities. I'm busy with 2 projects down in the Western Cape with the Jazreel Foundation. Now, Olivia Jazreel is one of Bob Hewitt's victims, and she started an organization where she helps children or young adults that have fallen prey to sports coaches. And we then work very closely with the National Prosecuting Authority, with specialized units in the South African Police and abroad. And we've got great successes. And if it's not for people like yourselves supporting us, we wouldn't be able to do what we do on a daily basis. Amy, I want you to say something from your side as well, please.
So, hello, everybody. I've met quite a few of you before. Right away, I'm sure you can tell I have an American accent, but I'm not in America. I do live in South Africa, so I always have to say that so people don't think I'm just being phone called in. I do live here, love this country, live in it, raising a family in it. I did 14 years of law enforcement in the States, and now I'm here working with NGOs and government, specifically on human trafficking. So with Wayne and the team, we take tip-offs from the community. We try to investigate. I've had the great opportunity to train police officers both in this country and in Malawi. Obviously, I've also trained police officers in the States, but on trafficking, and developed a curriculum, and very hopeful and excited about the impact that can make, because one of our biggest challenges is, yes, we get a case, and Wayne and I know how to work a case as police officers, but getting it to the right police officer or the social worker who then knows what to do is a big challenge. So, yeah, we're working on training those people up.
Guys, can I jump in there and ask, is it possible that you guys can share the story, Wayne, as the one that you shared with us when we were walking together on that boy that you guys saved, who was a couple of months old, and what you did, what that guy was experiencing and how you saved him, just so that there's a context and something that people can actually recognize. I don't know if that's appropriate to share or not.
You're talking about the youngster in Brits, the pastor's son.
The one who had those 12 broken bones.
Oh, the little boy, baby Mason. Mason.
That's the one. Is it possible that you can share that story?
Yes, I can share it. It's public knowledge now. So it's a case that happened in 2020 in hard lockdown. Drug parents, mom and dad, both heavy crack users. Mother was a prostitute. Father was a pimp. And this little boy was born. He was 4 months old at the time of this incident. Mom and dad had a fight while they were on a high. And this little guy, he bore the brunt of their brutality. He had 2 broken collarbones. His left ear was torn off the side of his head. He had 6 broken, basically 12 broken ribs, but 6 on the one side and then 6 on the other side. The way she had squeezed him, and then his femur, his left femur, had been broken by being twisted. The doctor said he's never, ever in his life seen something like that. It was one of the profs from UJ who lectures pediatric students on baby injuries. He asked us when I gave him the medical reports, was this kid in a car accident? And I said, no, this is how his parents abused him. So we're in the High Court. The prosecuting authorities are pushing for double life on an array of charges. And the parents, basically, they think it's a joke. The little guy's doing very well. He's with his forever family. He's been adopted. and he's living in Cape Town. I cannot obviously disclose where in Cape Town, but he's doing very well. And yeah, it's networking and working with like-minded people that makes us as strong as we are. And his little sister was born 2 years after that. We secured his little sister the day I served the indictment on the parents. She's with her almost forever parents now as well. She is 2.5 years old. She's a little princess and she's doing so well. I can tell you stories all day, every day. Amy can as well. I mean, there's a horrific story that she did with one of the girls who was a sex trafficking victim that Amy went out and found in the East Rand. And she rescued her from the street. And there was a surgeon who helped us with reconstructive surgery to this young girl's face. That's how badly she'd been beaten, because she did not submit to the requests of her pimp or of her client. And Amy rescued that girl, all on her ice.
Well, guys, I think it's a huge respect and such an honor to be supporting you as best we can. And for everybody on board, and the amount of feedback that both Natasha and I have received from the people that are wanting to get involved is because you inspire us, and the people that go through this and their courage. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, Tash.
Awesome. Is it me?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. So logistics for this event, right? The day before, my son and I are going to go and cycle the full route just to see what's on the path ahead of us, in case there's anything that we need to notify you of, and just have a look at the sort of going. On the day, it is our job, and Amy's going to join us. I'm going to be in a vehicle, she's going to be in a vehicle, and we're going to make sure that you guys will do our best to make sure that you're safe, and that you're being second, and that at the key points, which is every 25 kilometers, there's a place to be where you will meet your bags, and I'll explain that to you if some of you aren't aware of the bag story yet. But yeah, we're really just going to make sure that you're safe on the actual event. What we're going to do for the 100-kilometer walkers, and I think there's only 2 for this particular one, and Chris and Stuart are going to be it. They're going to start at the Notties Hotel, and they're going to walk to the 75-kilometer mark. So their first 25 kilometers will be at the 75-kilometer mark. Then what happens is whoever's walking 75 kilometers will meet us at the Notties Hotel. We will drive you to the start of the 75 kilometers, and we will release you with the other 2 walkers to walk together to the 50-kilometer point. Same story repeated. Those people that are doing 50 kilometers, we're going to collect you from the hotel. We will drive you to the 50-kilometer point, and you'll be released to start walking when the other guys come through. And these are at set times. We do have set times for these. And the same applies for the 25 kilometers. So some guys would have already walked 75 kilometers, meeting those with fresh legs at 25 kilometers, envying them dearly, I can imagine. And you will all walk together to finish the race. Not the race, this is not a race. This is an event for people to enjoy, that average people like myself can actually participate in. So we want to make this a doable thing, an achievable thing for people that would never dream of entering an ultra marathon distance event. It's too foreign from their brains. We are definitely going to attract some great athletes, hopefully like Nick and his fellow colleagues out there in the world. But it really is for the average person. I mean, if somebody can walk 10 kilometers now, I promise you they're going to be able to do 25 and maybe even 50 kilometers by September. But yeah, so this really is an event for everyone. What we are asking you to do, please, is the weather out there can be insane. I mean, it can be lovely at points, and the storms come in. It can be freezing cold. You can get fog and mist, and it really is chilly. So for us Joburgers who aren't familiar with the weather in the Midlands, do some research and see what you're in for. It can be beautiful, but it can really also be quite hectic. So in your little kit bag, which will be put in my boot or Amy's boot, will be changes of socks, your weather gear, your raincoat, your tracksuit, beanies, gloves, blisters, medical kit, food. So you're going to pack your own food for this event. If you're doing 100 kilometers, you're going to pack your own little lunchbox that you'll eat at the 25, 50, 75 stopover point. So you are responsible for whatever nutritionally you eat during this event. It is by law, you have to have a space blanket on you at all times. So in your little backpack, there needs to be adequate water to see you through, only for 25 kilometers, so it's not that far. But you need to make sure you've got a space blanket in there and a reflective vest. You also need to make sure that you've got a headlamp. So all of this is on our website. We've got a list of everything you could possibly want. It's there. You can go and check it. If you've got any questions around any of the gear, give us a call. But you are ultimately also responsible for your own safety between points. And I think this is quite reflective of the industry that we're supporting as well. We're not going out there to have a jaw, or we'll be meeting to have pizza and, a big fat kale. It's going to be hard. You're going to be stretched. You're going to hurt. And we're doing this as a reflection of every single step that we take is a step taking back from the darkness that is stealing from these children's lives. And sorry, I get my bladder is too close to my eyes. Forgive me. Yeah, there will be hundreds of lives of little children and maybe even adults that will be saved because of what we're doing. Not might, will be. And I just am so passionate, just in case you haven't picked that up, about standing up and making a noise. We're not all called to do what Wayne and Amy and Bianca do. They're crazy. It has to be a calling. But what we can do is we can stand up and make a noise. We can come together and we can raise awareness about what is going on without having to, step out of our comfort zones too much, so to speak. So yeah, again, thank you guys. This is, it's absolutely massive. So again, sorry, diversed a little bit there with my teary eyes, but in your bags, you're going to pack everything you need. The list is on the website. Those bags are going in the cars. We will make sure that when you get to the 25 kilometer stops, we'll check you down. We're going to have medical kits. We're going to be able to see if you're all right. If you're not, you're welcome. Because this is just a training event, this is just a recce. It's really not that serious. We're going down to have some fun. But you're welcome to phone in and get into either of our vehicles at any point if you're feeling uncomfortable. And yeah, that's really it. At the end, we'll open it up to other questions. Clive is going to re-drive the route or parts of it just to check the distances for us. He will make sure that every point that we stop is well marked, so you can't miss it. What am I missing here? What am I missing? That's really it. The first 25 kilometers is hard. It's on tar. It's horrible. Those hills are just, I was giggling when I was in the car with Clive going, you've got to be freaking joking. Like, they are serious hills. You get to the 25 kilometer mark at some random farmer's gate. So it's in the middle of nowhere. There will be water there for you. I will be there. Amy will probably be there. And then we'll set you off for the second 25, which is mostly on dirt road. And it's a lovely track. It's an easy track, easy going. The camber's not bad. Look, driving fast on a bakkie, you're going to be flying all over the place. But walking, it's actually relatively good. From the 50 to the 75, it's also good going. It's on tar. You can run or walk on the verge, which is a big verge. There's plenty of space if you prefer not walking on tar. And that's also quite flat, little rolly, hilly, but nothing insane. And then the last 25 is through the Crane Conservancy. So that's also our way to give back to the local biodiversity in the area. So they look after the blue cranes and the Oribi, sorry, I nearly got it wrong there. And the Oribi, they do incredible work there. And so to walk through there costs money as well. So a portion, I've said to all of you, for this event, it's only going to cost you 50 Rand. You know, for the real one, it's going to cost a little bit more, but that money goes to the Crane Conservancy. And that's trail, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful trail. So if you're a trail runner and you enjoy trail running, you'll really enjoy that part of it. If any of you have friends or family that want to come and cycle, by all means, you can cycle the whole route, including through the Crane Conservancy. And then, we end up at Nossies. And it's, Amy and I will be there to support, and just can't wait to see this all happening. I think that's it. I'll answer questions at the end. Yeah, Amy?
Just real quick, you mentioned set times, but just to say what they are.
Okay.
It's 2 p.m. It's at 2 and 8. So 2 p.m., 8 p.m., 2 a.m., and 8 a.m. Okay? So that's what the times are. Yeah. So good luck to those starting at 50 kilometers. I mean, you've got to be a nutter to start a race at 2 o'clock in the morning, but these kids don't choose what time nonsense happens, do they? You know, and like I said, this is reflective of what's going on out there. So I think it's awesome. I think it's absolutely epic, and so chuffed to be a part of this. Yeah, I'll answer questions at the end, Chris.
Great. Guys, from my side, there's just a couple of points. I'll go into a little bit more detail. But first of all, as much as I was hoping to set a precedent for 100Ks or 75Ks, and Stuart and Gertjan and Heidi and James and, all the guys that have been in the training, Jackie, I'm expecting big things from you as well. I see you online. Partly because we need to use this event as a springboard for the one that's running 13th and 14th of September. After this, I'm hoping that we're going to get enough interest of what we have already achieved to get some radio and TV and other media exposure, which is obviously we need those kind of partners, and so we need you guys to please don't at the last minute drop out because you want to watch your favorite TV show. We need everybody possible to be a part of this event in April to really create the precedent for the long-term event. So there's just a couple of points, but I think possibly the biggest one at this stage for me is the vision that Tash first shared with me back in the day, where we want to make this an annual event. So this is not just this year. We want this to be something that's being spoken about and becomes an aspirational event over the next 5 to 10 years. And what's really cool, and I was sharing this with a couple of guys recently, is we did an event recently where we were paddling on the Crocodile River, and we had a cup of coffee afterwards, and we had a couple of guests with us. Some of them quite big into the adventure racing space, and they were like, "What's this 100 thing we're hearing about?" And people had, they came out that it had been spoken about in 2 different sources. So the word is spreading, and we can really take advantage of this momentum to build this into something spectacular. And it's the 20, 30, 40 of us that can make April, the 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 of us that can make September. That's going to become 200 in 2025. It's going to become 500 in 2026. And that's the vision. And you guys being part of this inaugural event now is the basis of that vision. So we just so grateful that you have been part of it and here, and all the guys that are pitching up at 4 a.m, or getting up at 4 a.m. And geez, I was like, the first time I was late, I was like, oh my God, 4 a.m. That's crazy, man. But people have been showing up, and I think it's super exciting and just so grateful. But guys, I know that Nick has a little bit of a time issue, so let's introduce him. Thanks, Nick, for offering your time and being so willing to be again part of this vision. You know, when I phoned you and said, are you in? And you were like, no probs, straight out. And guys, again, indicative of how much support there is, that people are willing to offer their time on so many different levels. So guys, the background to Nick is that he recently ran 230 kilometers through Lapland over 5 days. But before that, has run a couple of comrades, done a couple of Ironmans. And so he's got a huge amount of knowledge in running and being part of ultra events. So we just asked him to share some of his knowledge with us, because as Tash was saying, most of us are just the average Joe Schmo guys. We don't have the experience, we don't have the fitness, we don't have the background, and so we need to tap into whatever we can. So if I can just ask you to jump in.
Awesome, thank you. Thanks, Chris, and what a great opportunity. Thank you for having me, guys. And contrary to Tash's very kind introduction, I'm just a Joe Schmo plodder, and I do events because I enjoy going to different places and doing crazy stuff. And I'm usually too lazy to do the training. And so that has necessitated me getting good at the hacks, the nutritional hacks and the pain-saving hacks and the shortcuts, so that I can survive to the end and have the beer in Notty's pub, okay? And so I picked up some stuff that I hope will help. So just to contextualize, I think I did my first comrades in 2000 on a dare with 11 sachets of breakthrough corn syrup. Now, if anybody knows anything about anything with health, corn syrup is almost on the banned list. You don't even go there, it's so bad for you. But that was as far as the knowledge went. Stopped being stupid for a couple of years. And in 2013 and 2014, did a back-to-back comrades. And there I was super scientific with cake stuffed with almond. Hell of scientific. And those were stuffed in a little bank bag in the back of my running shorts. And you hobble away with a peanut butter salmi from somebody on the side of the road. And then I got into triathlon. And in triathlon, there's a saying that nutrition is the fourth discipline. Obviously, swim, bike, run. And nutrition is the fourth discipline. Because to survive a 4-kilometer swim with a 180-kilometer bike ride followed by a 42-kilometer marathon, you've got to get your nutrition right. Otherwise, you're going to have a damn long, painful day. And that's the first time I started understanding this world of sports nutrition for events and the hacks. And so what I'm going to kind of, wouldn't say randomly go through, but I'm going to follow sort of themes of food, hydration, blisters, training for September, and then general. And I'm going to share just specific things, general things, and take some notes if you want. Write down your questions. I'll bomb out until I'm finished. We do a Q&A afterwards. And in the Q&A, that'll trigger different thoughts and, oh, yeah, I'll try that or this or whatever, okay? So I'm not an expert. I'm not a nutritionist, but I found some hacks that have helped me over the years. And maybe just by way of starting, I think it was my 2013 comrades. I raised money for Operation Smile, and that was my charity of choice at the time. And just in getting prepared for this year's comrades, there's a mate of mine who's running in Group C, and in Group C is where the charities run. And all you got to do, I think, is raise 10 grand to qualify for a sea seeding in Comrades. Now, if there are hundreds and hundreds of people raising 10 grand each for their chosen charity, CHOC or whatever it is, then this can be done easily in this group. There's passion, there's an unbelievable cause, and you've got networks and mates. But in the end of the day, this was my experience. You guys are seasoned veterans at doing this and raising money. Awesome. The things that I found is that people will support you often before they support the charity or the cause, because they're your China. And they go, if you're going to be doff enough to walk 100 Ks or 50 Ks, hey, I'll throw $200 at you. Okay? And so use your socials, use your mates to support you in doing this event that happens to go to an unbelievably good cause. But you are the poster child. It's you that they primarily, not always, but they're primarily supporting because they're your mate. My second comment, having done it before, is make it easy. Whatever mechanism you use to get money out of your mates, make it easy. I don't know, I don't understand geo payments or M-Pesa, or just try and make it easy. If there's a single way that they can scan a QR code and just EFT it, I don't know. I'm just saying make it easy, because often the gateway I found in getting people to support is it's just a hack. I've got to load up your details as a beneficiary, and then I got to, and they don't. So if you can make it easy that it's a one push, one button, one swipe, one scan, bloop, and it's off or whatever, and give people, I found this really helped. Say, okay, 100, 250, 500 or 1,000. Not whatever you want, whatever you feel is appropriate. Make the decision for them. Easy entry, $100, 250, 500 and $1,000. Bam, boom, done. Those are just, for me, the thing, my subject, but those are the things that I found worked in terms of raising money. Okay, let's get stuck in. Sugar is not your friend, it is your enemy. Okay? One of the things that fascinated me when we were in the Arctic is the amount of Brits that came with M&Ms and Kit Kats and all that stuff. Why? Because they don't understand the chemistry of fuel inside the body. Sugar creates a short-term spike and then it drops you. What you don't want is the drop. Okay? So if you're going to manage your energy, you're managing what? You're managing blood sugar. The glycogen in your leg muscles is gone within 2 hours. Okay? In your liver and your leg muscles. Therefore, your job is to put petrol in to last you 12, 15, 18, 24 hours. Okay? So one of the things that I started doing, strange enough, it was only on the Cape Epic, was that I set my watch to 20 minutes. Everybody's Garmin or whatever, every 20 minutes it goes, and up on the screen says, eat. So every 20 minutes, something is going down your throat. Because otherwise what happens is you forget, or you go, I'll eat at the 25K mark. And then what are you doing? You're smashing a meal into your mouth. Now, think about it logically. The food goes into your stomach. Now your body needs to send blood and energy to digest the food, which consumes energy that you need to walk. So don't overload your system, your digestive system, because it ends up taking you more energy. I'll give you a weird example. One of the things we were taught in the Arctic is don't eat the snow, because you actually consume more energy and more water in turning cold snow into absorbable warm body temperature water than the amount of water you actually put in your mouth. I mean, it's so counterintuitive, but you dehydrate by drinking snow. And so the point about the fuel is don't go, okay, I'll just chow breakfast, lunch, and supper. You will bonk out of that race. You don't have enough energy to be walking for 12, 15, 18 hours if you're not constantly putting food in. So what does that mean? One of the things that you guys are embarking on is a long distance endurance event. And what is that? You know that, but what's the implication? In a typical marathon, most people hit the wall at what they call 32 Ks. Why? Because at 32 Ks, roughly, you're at about 3 hours for most people, which is typically your liver and your body, your leg muscles, glycogen is removed, is gone. And now your body turns to fat conversion for energy. That's why traditionally we hit the wall at 32. I mean, how do people know that? Because it happens time and time again. And so the point there is that you want to start looking at, I will give you specifics, we want to start upping fat content and not so much carbohydrate. I mean, you need the carbs, but you need to be getting fat and protein in what you consume so that you're not eating away your own muscle protein, and that your body can use the fat to turn into energy. Does that make kind of some sense? Winning here. Okay. So one of the things that has worked sustainably well for me, Ryan Sands did it when he moved to fame in trail running, and it is what all mountain bikers will do, is you'll have a liquid fuel in your bottle. Okay? What does a liquid fuel mean? It is a carbohydrate drink or a carbohydrate protein fat drink. So that will be like, for example, I personally Ryan Sands used a product called Perpetuum made by Hammer. Hammer is the name of the company. Perpetuum is the product. My experience is that it is kind of on your gut than your USN, GOO, those kind of more processed carb drinks. A lot of people I know use Tailwind. Tailwind is an international product developed by guys who had gut issues. My experience is that Tailwind has too much fructose and zero protein and zero fat. So it's good for a marathon, but for a 10, 12, 15, 18, 24-hour journey, it doesn't have, for me, enough any protein or fat. So I would go with something like Perpetuum. Now, what does that mean? It means that you've got your 2 scoops, and definitely I would advise those of you going in the long haul, wear a trail running jacket, okay? Not a backpack, because a backpack's going to move and chafe you. I'd get a proper trail running jacket that fits tight on your body. Because number one, you've got a 2-liter bladder, and if what Tash said about you really got water stops every 25 Ks if you're lucky, that's a long time. That can be hours and hours and hours out there. I'm sure there are going to be streams and taps, but be prepared to be self-sufficient. So you've got a 2-liter in your backpack, and you've typically got around 450 mils in a soft shell flask inside your front. So most trail running backpacks have pouches in the front. You've got a soft flask, or like we did when we were in the Arctic, 750 ml water bottles. But that's a lot of weight. Okay, you got 3.5 kgs, excluding your spare change of clothes, wind, rain jacket, space blanket, etc. So typically you're going to have your fuel here and your water in the back. I personally cannot put anything that has flavor into my water source for 10, 12, 15, 18 hours. It ends up really messing with your taste buds. So keep your fuel separate from your water. Your water is your water, your fuel is your fuel. And I'll talk about electrolytes now, but what some people do is they have an electrolyte drink in the other one. So a Noon or Hammer do the electrolytes, but that's like but I'll talk about other options there. Okay. So the benefit of having a carbohydrate drink is that you're always drinking. It's easy to drink fuel calories into your body than it is to eat it. And I can promise you, when you've been out there for 8, 10, 12 hours, you don't feel like eating. Eating is the last thing you do, but you will get into trouble if you don't. And so that's why I will always have probably at least a third to a half of my calorific counter will come from a liquid carbohydrate drink like Perpetuum. Okay, happy with that? Easy, powder in, shake it up, dop, and then you can dop it slowly. Every 20 minutes, take a big suck. Okay. Fat. So how do you get fat in? Well, here's some specifics. Woolworths do a pretzel pouch that's got peanut butter on the inside. So you've got the fat from the peanut butter, the carbs from the pretzel, and the salt from the outside of the pretzel. Beautiful snack. Easy to chow, a little bit dry sometimes, but a great combo of salt, protein, fat, and carbohydrate. Shortbread. So we had to, think about it, it's minus 20, minus 30 outside, your freezer's only minus 18. We couldn't take any food that you can't put straight out of the deep freeze into your mouth. And so shortbread was a good combination. Now, I'm not talking about normal ones that you buy in the shop because they're quite high in sugar and high in white flour, which will spike your blood sugar. So what we did is that we pimped shortbread. So we made our own shortbread with whey protein, with instead of white flour, we used almond flour. So you're getting the protein from the almonds, the fat from the almonds, the protein from the protein powder. I put cinnamon in there because cinnamon's a natural anti-inflammatory. And it tastes lacquer, and then a little bit of honey or sugar in it. So that's a nice snack. It tastes nice, but so you can play around with it. But your own pimped shortbread is a nice way to seriously up your calories. Nut butter. So Omega and I don't know who the other company is, do 15 gram sachets of macadamia nut butter, almond butter. Macadamia nut butter is by far the best value for money. Your fat and calorific counter is the highest, and those are easy to chow. There you take one out your pouch, you open the corner, you slick it down, and boom, you've got a good, I can't remember, 250 odd calories in one sachet of nut butter. So that is definitely a good way. Weirdly enough, when we did our entire spreadsheet of gram to calorie ratio, the winner by literally double any other was olive oil, strange enough. So olive oil as a source of fuel is massive. Now, try slicking down a tablespoon of olive oil and see how disgusting it is. Okay, number one. Number two, watch out for overloading your liver. So what did we do? We mixed olive oil with things like 2-minute noodles. I find there are some Asian noodle brands that are better than just traditional 2-minute noodles. But 2-minute noodles, you can stop at your 25K mark, 50K mark, hoy in from a flask into a cup, put a sachet of olive oil in there, and you have a nice 5 to 8 minute stop. You're resting a little bit. You're putting some good carbs and some good fats into your body with noodles and olive oil. Okay. Then probably the other one in terms of fat that I would definitely think about, and this for me was one of the changes that I made literally 10 days before we left on our trip, was MCT oil powder. Now let me unpack that. In any spa and any health shop, you're going to see a clear bottle made by Keto something. Anyway, and it's called MCT oil. Now, MCT stands for medium chain triglycerides. And basically what it does, it's for people who bant and people who are on a ketone diet to get energy. And MCT oil bypasses the Krebs cycle. Remember in biology, I think you remember standard 6, standard 7, remember biology? You had the Krebs cycle and the, ATP is produced. Anyway, MCT oil bypasses your digestive system and goes straight into your liver. So it's instantly accessible energy. But, if you haven't trained on MCT oil, you will vomit. It's so rich that it hits your liver and you just feel nauseous and you throw up. Trust me, Durban Half Ironman, I had a bottle, which is probably 50 mils. I'm going into the run transition. I think I've got it, I might as well dop it. And I gooi down 50 mils, probably at least 50 mils, 50 to 100 mils of oil. Go into transition, come out in the run, and within 3 Ks, I am hurling my lungs out on the side of the Durban beachfront. So, train on it. But, this is where the but. They've now come out with an MCT oil powder. Now, the powder is, again, easier to mix, easier to digest, and it can go in with your Perpetuum powder. Cafe Latte was the one that I found. I've used it for 10 years. Don't go strawberry or banana or any weird like it. So you can get your little Ziploc bag with your 2 scoops of Perpetuum and your 20 grams of MCT powder, and it's just another fuel source to up your fat content. Okay? And you're going to pack 10 bags of that if you're walking for 24 hours. Okay. So that's probably a lot and enough on food. If you're going to go for some real food through the journey, especially if you're out in September for 24 hours, just think about your digestive system, guys. You don't want anything like whole grain bread, anything that's going to require too much digestion. So if you want a little salmi, white bread, bovril, good for the protein, peanut butter, and have little salmis. And if you're going to go salmis, cut crusts off, because the crusts are going to be harder to digest in your body. Don't, unless it's a nice craving thing, watch out for meat. A lot of people love biltong. It's a mission to digest. I mean, think about it, okay? But Droevorst works well because you've got the fat in the Droevorst, which turns into energy. Some people like trail mix, whatever kind of works for you. Okay, happy with food. Any questions on food before we move into hydration?
Yeah, I've got a question. Nick, have you ever used the PVM maize powder that you mix with water? It's sort of a creamy, no sugar. It's very scientifically made. And some friends of mine and I used it on the leopard trail in December, and we drank it for breakfast. Would that be a good fuel source as well?
I don't know it. I'm sure it is. In the end of the day, there's going to be a calorific counter on all of those foods, so you can count the calories per 100 grams. I don't know it, so I can't comment. But if it works for you, go for it. When we were in Lapland, my breakfast was Future Life protein. So Future Life do a protein one that is 30% protein. So again, you can do that as well, Miriam. Is you can have a Future Life protein just shaken up with water, and you drink that. You're getting the carbs, you're getting the nutrition, the nutrients as well, you're getting the protein. Also good. But yeah, that would be a strong recommendation. What we did for dinner was dehydrated meals. Those are a dime a dozen. My experience was that the local South African one, I think it's called, I forget it, but the person at the store will be able to tell you, is exactly the same price, 220, 230 Rand a bag as the New Zealand one, which is backcountry. And my experience was the New Zealand one was far superior in flavor to the local ones, and the price was the same. So if that's one of the things you're thinking of, that your main meal is a dehydrated meal, but it's going to be a lot of char in your stomach. So would be rather go many more smaller intakes of food and different sources of fuel than one bigger meal. But try it. Ultimately, just test that's what this is for. Use this event, use your training to test what it is that you're going to use on race day, so to speak. Okay. And if it works for you, Miriam, go for it.
Okay. I was just asking the question, but my other question, I guess, would link into hydration, and that is about things with caffeine in them. Is any kind of caffeine at all useful in an event like that?
Again, great question. And the easy answer is absolutely. Why? Because when you've been out there for that long, your concentration wanes. And that's when you make mistakes. That's when you trip, when you fall. Now, if you're walking, not as much of a problem. But if you're riding a bike or you're running, that's dangerous. And so a lot of like Hammers gel has, a lot of them have caffeine in it. I often take caffeine pills. You can just buy them at Discount, 150, 160 Rand, but then stage them. So especially those of you walking through the night, you might need a caffeine pill every 2 hours, let's say, just like you would have a cup of coffee. So does it influence from from a dehydration perspective? I mean, coffee is a diuretic, caffeine is a diuretic in any case, but the fact that it would make me not take it, no. I would take it because I don't want the accident. I want to have alertness when it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and there's a tricky section. That would be my feedback, but as I said, I'm not a nutrition expert, but I take caffeine, very definitely, but in the latter half of a race or an event to keep my concentration up. Okay, that would be my advice.
Right.
Okay,
just a quick one, Nick. So with regard to Perpetuum and that kind of stuff, I'll reach out to you afterwards and maybe go do a bit of shopping and then reach out to the group to say I'm going to go shop if anybody wants, and maybe we can try and just coordinate that to save a bit of time and hassle for everybody. So I'll take that on and coordinate that.
Cool. And hey, there are many different, if there are 10 different brands out there, USN, Powerbar, whatever. That's just the one that I've worked. I know Ryan Sands used it, and it's the one that has the least impact on my gut because it's got more real stuff in it than kind of fake stuff. Okay. So I'm going to do hydration, and then I'm going to do pimps, little hacks that kind of fall into hydration and into food. So I've mentioned get a pack. I would strongly advise that borrow it from a buddy. There are different ones that have different pockets for all your different needs. Train with it so that you know this is where my biltong is, this is where my dried fruit is, this is where my Perpetuum powder Ziploc bags are. If you like, for me, I'm an exercise induced asthmatic, so where's my asthma pump if I need it? Pain pills, I'll talk about pain pills at the end, just so that you got it. You get used to using those two front soft flasks, and you got 2 liters in the bag. Now, when we sweat, we lose salt and other electrolytes. And so what you find, again, the hard way, is if you only drink water, what you're going to start to find is that the water starts to slush around in your stomach. Why? Because it's not being absorbed into your body. Why? Because the salt to H2O ratio is wrong. Does that make sense? You're deprived of electrolytes and salt. And so that's why all sports drinks, all sports companies make electrolyte products. Okay? Now, electrolytes are a little bit more than salt. I'm talking about NaCl, sodium chloride, Cerebos, see how it runs. That's not really what I'm suggesting here. So what have I found works really well? Himalayan salt. And you go to Westpac, and you get these tiny little 1 inch by 1 inch Ziploc packets. They're really cute little things. And about 3 to 4 big pinches of salt, of Himalayan salt, which is going to be about a half of that packet. And to 2 liters in your pack, that's about all you'll need. So you get to a water point or you get to a river and your pack is empty. You take open your pack, you take open a little Himalayan salt Ziploc, you pour the salt in, you fill it up with water, and you can hardly taste Himalayan salt. It's got a slight savory taste, but it's lacquer. I personally get the finest one possible so that as it hits the water, it's just already mixed. That has served me big time because you're getting all your base electrolytes and your salt replacement in there. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, Hammer, the same company that make Perpetuum, do a product called Extreme Electrolytes. It's basically little capsules, and they're extreme electrolytes. So I typically take one every 2 hours, maybe, on a walk like this or a run like this. And at least that way, between the Himalayan salt and the extreme electrolytes, you know you're getting and replacing your electrolytes in your body, because that will take you out. If you get that mix wrong, you get dizzy, blood sugar drops, and also the water that you drink doesn't get absorbed in your body. So that is something I would definitely do. That's what I use, because it's also easy. What's your other options? You got to get a fizzy tablet that you put into one of your other water bottles. Go for it. If that works for you, Noon, N-U-U-N, they're good. Hammer do a great one called Fizz, F-I-Z-Z, Fizz. There are other ones, but it's a fizzy pill that you put in your water and it gives you electrolytes. Now that's too much for a hack for me, and it's another bottle I need for another cause. So I would rather just I just use the Himalayan salt and extreme electrolytes, but plan on it. You are gonna sweat, so that is got to be part of your regime, is replacing your electrolytes. Okay, that would be probably about it, unless there's something else in my notes that I come to later. Okay, blisters.
Just a quick question. What about rehydrate?
So, yeah, that does work. I find most athletes use rehydrate after an event, not necessarily during an event. So it's usually a replacement as opposed to a planned strategy. It can work. It's got good stuff in it. Depending on how many you're going to do, it can rack up. Okay, they're about 30 Rand a packet. But yeah, it can work. It wouldn't be my go-to strategy, because essentially it's a rehydrate. That means the implicit in it is you're dehydrated already. You're in a lot of trouble if you're already dehydrated. The rule of thumb is if you're thirsty, you're already too far. You're already dehydrated if you start getting thirsty. So just drink. Okay, that would be, but if it works for you, go for it. I don't use it during an event. I use it after. Okay, and maybe just on that point, if memory serves me correctly, and it depends on the day and the heat, but you want to be trying to get in at least, I'm speaking out of turn here, so please don't quote me on this, but at least 500 mils, 500 to 750 mils of water per hour. Okay, so that's a lot. Obviously, you need less in the night, and you need less if you're walking versus running. So depending on what kind of an athlete you are, just implicit in that is make sure you've drunk that. So if you know you've got 2 liters in your backpack, 400, 500, 500, you know that you have to consume that within at least 4 to 5 hours. 4 hours, let's say. That's 500 mils, 600 mils per hour. You have to. Otherwise, those of you doing 12, 18, 24, if you don't get your water in early, you're going to hit your dehydration later. Get it in. Just like your food, get it in. Okay. You don't feel like it, but dope it. Okay. Any other questions on hydration? And remember, Coke is sugar, so don't go for Coke. Eba. Okay. Unless you're going to just stay on Coke, and I'm talking about the stuff in the brown bottle. Blisters. So I'd never ever in my life encountered blisters until we walked with snowshoes on our feet for 10 hours or ran for the first 3 days and then walked for day 4 and day 5. So this is my bit of advice. K-tape, KT tape, it's called kinesiology tape. So on the packet it'll say KT for kinesiology tape, or often just called K-tape, is your friend. if you are potentially prone to blisters or you haven't walked this distance, strap your feet before the event. It's too late when you've got a blister or when you've got a blister coming on, because your pain level is insanely high. So stop it from happening in the first place and strap your ankle. Go Google it. There are YouTube videos on how to strap your ankle, but essentially you want, so simple one, strip down your Achilles to just below the base of your heel. Strap number one. Strap number two is going to start in front of your foot and go around that tape and seal back on itself. Strap three is just below that, going to the bottom of your heel, back on itself. Does that make sense? So if this is your foot and this is your shin, that part there is where your tape is going to meet. With K-tape, you always want to cut the corners, because corners peel, rounds don't. And K-tape seals onto itself. And once you locked in like that, you're good. You're good. My experience is you shouldn't get heel blisters. If you're somebody who's prone to side foot or toe blisters, just strap your side foot before the event so that you don't get them. Okay, that's enough on that. Go and do a bit of research, practice with K-tape. That is the thing that will save your day. Because you get blisters, your day's over, or your pain threshold better be damn high, because you're about to be in a world of pain for a long time. Next point on that, chafe cream. So if you're not familiar with this kind of an event, everything multiplies over many hours. So a tiny little niggle becomes a blister. And chafing, so depending on the pants you're wearing, use a good chafe cream. There's one called Arse Magic, okay, usually for cyclists. Assos, the cycling brand, do an excellent one. I think there's actually called Arse Magic, but it's made by Assos. Vaseline is okay, but it's not the best. And so where are your typical points? Depending on the kind of shirt you're going to get in your armpit, and then obviously between your legs where the end of your shorts kind of runs out. For those of you who are comfortable walking in tights, go for it. You'll avoid chafe. I don't personally like them, but watch out for chafe. And then for those of you not familiar with this, your nipples, okay? If you're not familiar, your shirt is going to rub your nipple over 10, 12, 15 hours. If you got a backpack on, my experience is that won't be a problem, because it's so tight that the shirt doesn't move. And so you literally take an elastoplast. This is the best solution that I've ever found. You cut out an elastoplast into a circle for your areola, and you stick it straight on. If you've got a hairy chest like me, that's a bit of a mission, but don't go and try and put a big thing on, especially if you've got a hairy chest. Just stick it straight over the nipple. Otherwise, you're going to bleed. You are going to bleed into your shirt if you don't get that right. Okay, so for those of you unfamiliar with long-term, trust me, be prepared. Don't say you weren't warned. And then my last point is shoes. Your shoes. If this is predominantly off-road, then make sure you've got trail running shoes or hiking shoes, not road running shoes. Okay? If it's predominantly off-road. Obviously train in them, obviously get used to them, obviously wear them in. Okay? Oh yes, Amy, bra is definitely a great idea on that front. Okay. Then what else can help you? Merino wool socks. So there's a South African brand called Balega that is, it's not fully merino wool, but it's quite high percentage. Merino wool is your friend. Merino wool will breathe better on your feet and will give you less blisters. As I said, Balega, you can go to any sports store. Balega is the brand. They do quite high content merino wool socks. I would definitely go for those. Do you need 2 layers? Probably not. I think for an event like this, that might get too hot. You actually might just find the 2 layers gets too hot. So that's get the right shoes, trail shoes or hiking shoes, merino wool socks, and K-tape for blisters, and elastoplast for your nipples, and then chafe cream for between your legs and in your groin area, and then potentially underneath your armpits if you got a vest or a shirt that might chafe you. Okay, that's blisters. Your general training. Now it's too late for April, but for September. Train to march. What do I mean by that? I discovered only on day 4 in the Arctic that all these Brits power walked. I'm not a walker, I'm a runner. But the problem is by the time you hit, your 30, 35, 40 hours of walking, you're so broken you can't run anymore. Now you need to walk. Now, if you haven't trained to walk fast, your body's not going to know how to do it. So I'm being dead serious. Train to power march. Okay? It's different. Your body, you engage your body differently, just whilst we're going for a stroll. You're also going to run out of time. You can't do 100 Ks in 24 hours if you don't walk fast. Believe me, do the maths. You got to be moving. You can't. This is not a stroll down the beach with your chinas. So practice walking, a proper power walking. If you're going to walk, if you're going to run, do a bit of both. Now, what that brings in a new question: poles. I don't have enough experience. I did not take poles to the Arctic. Myself and two mates, we were the only 3 out of 40 participants that did not have poles. Every other participant had poles, because there's something about pushing you forward and using your poles as a power mechanism, and it enables you to march a whole lot better. So if you're going to do that for September, get poles and train with poles. Okay, so that you're used to them. They're easy to put away, take out, use, but you've got experience. Okay, so that would be my advice around training. What can help you is weighted packs. So if you're just going to have your normal water, that's not a major issue, but train with it. What do I mean by weighted packs? There's a lot of research out at the moment. Great, thanks, Amy. Decathlon's got good prices on poles at the moment. Go for it. There's a lot of research on loading the muscles with extra weight. So what does that mean? Either get a normal backpack that you walk with and put 6 kgs on it, 6, 7, 8, or you can, if you've got a little bit of extra money and it's worth your training, you can actually buy what's called a weighted vest, where it literally is like an 8-10 kg bulletproof vest that you wear. Why? Because when you're walking and you've got 8 extra kilos in your body, it puts more pressure on your leg muscles to work harder. Therefore, you get fitter and stronger quicker. Okay? So that would definitely be, if I was in for September for 100 Ks, walk with a weighted pack when you're training, because it'll get you stronger and fitter fast. Okay, let's go to general ideas. Remember, this is being recorded, so you can go back and download this, silly conversation. Sun cream. Use a stick, not a cream or a spray. Why? Because as you start to sweat, the cream is going to get in your eye and it's going to be super uncomfortable. Common sense, but you'll be amazed at how many times. So get those like island style. I think it is island style, island something. Discam orange stick, and use a stick for your face and not a cream or an oil. Okay. Next couple of hacks. BCAA powder. BCAA powder. BCAA stands for branch chain amino acids. It's about 9 of the 18 amino acids the body needs to create protein and build muscle. You can buy it from any brand at Discam. And what I found helps is that during an event and after the event and after your training, you put a scoop of BCAA powder into a glass, dop it, and it's kind of like a recovery drink. You're putting those amino acids straight into the muscles to speed up your recovery. So it enables you to train harder and train more. But during an event and obviously afterwards, I always take BCAA powder. Okay. Linked to that, glutamine. So you'll see it as L-glutamine. Now, glutamine is inside BCAA powder. So it's already in there. But it's a little bit more cost effective to just take a teaspoon of glutamine. For those of you that suffer with digestion issues and being regular on the loo, a teaspoon of glutamine in the morning, half an hour or so before you eat, apparently does wonders for your gut. It's good for your gut microbiome anyway, but it's amazing muscle recovery. I first discovered it when my sister had a abdominal surgery. She was a physio, and she started taking glutamine powder as a muscle recovery powder. So glutamine is an absolute win. My folks use it even in their 70s when they go to gym. I use it, but it is in BCAA powder as well. So branched chain amino acid powder, definitely during the race, I would, or during the event, because it's just replacing. It's just giving your muscles that little top up so that they don't start degenerating and really getting sore. Meal tablets. Now, you're going to get painful. Your knees are going to hurt. Your muscles are going to hurt. But the problem with taking a miprodol or a Nurofen is it's going to clap your kidneys. And you've got proper risk of having something go wrong. If you are dehydrated and you put a major strong anti-inflammatory pain pill into your body, you have a proper chance of a casualty. Okay? Don't put the pressure on Natasha and the rest of the organizers where you suddenly have got kidney failure because you're dehydrated and you've taken pain pills. So how do I get around that? Traumil. So Traumil is a homeopathic pain pill, and I just have it like every hour. I put 2-3 Traumil tablets underneath my tongue, and you just keep going. Is it as strong as a miprodol or a Nurofen? No. Okay. But it's going to help. And I would not put a strong painkiller in my body because of the risk of kidney failure. Okay, that's my 2 cents. Again, you've been warned. Don't do it. Okay, so let me conclude with some ideas. It's going to hurt. Full stop. It's gonna be painful. You're gonna want to stop. This is way, 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 way out of any of your comfort zone. The most any of you are gonna do, I'm guessing, if you're anything like me and you're just a normal person, is 4 hours of marching. And now you're gonna sign up for 12, 18, or 24. That's fine. That's normal. Don't worry. Nobody runs a full marathon to train for a marathon. No one does does 87 Ks in training for comrades. Never. So don't worry about that. That's fine. You're good for the distance, but understand you're going to hurt. So get clear on why you're doing this. Number one, for the cause. Simple. So what helps? Wear a bracelet. Wear a reminder. When I did Epic and Ironman, I had a Lego man cable tied to my handlebars from my son, and I had a beaded bracelet from my daughter that said Daddy on it that I had over my handlebars. It gives you inspiration, it gives you motivation, it keeps you focused as to why you're there. Put a badge on you that you can touch, something that can remind you of the cause that you are committing to. Number one. Number two, do it for yourself. So you're the second cause. The primary cause is raising money, the children, and the great work that Wayne and Amy and the rest of the team, Bianca and the team, are doing. But at the end of the day, you're a part of this as well. And understand, and I believe personally, from having gone through this, one of the greatest gifts you will ever give yourself is this experience. Because you're going to meet yourself out there at 2:30 a.m. Okay? You're going to go, how's it, China? How much is in the basement? Like Rocky always says, you got to keep some in the basement. You're going to meet yourself. when it's cold, it's dark, you're tired, you're hungry, you don't feel like it, your legs hurt, your knees hurt, your back hurts, everything hurts. And what an amazing gift. No pain, no gain. We know that from life. And it's only going to be for a short period of time. 12 hours, 15 hours, 18 hours, 20 hours, 24 hours. And so with that, just have a mantra in your head. Just keep going. 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 The next pole, the next mile marker on the side, the next tree. I like to chunk events into 10K slots. So take it 10Ks, 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 10Ks. And it just kind of, for me, psychologically breaks it into small events, not, oh my word, I've got 100 Ks to go. It's too much for our brains to, so just break it into 10Ks or 8Ks if you're ran a time trial. And that way, chunking it up psychologically, I find helps enormously. Just keep going, just keep going. And you will be absolutely amazed at the depth that you have physically. And then you get the gift for giving the gift to the organization and the charity. Does that make sense? You're doing this for Unchain Our Children, but in the end of the day, I believe that will be the gift that you will give to yourself is, I can do this. I'm stronger than I thought I was. I'm more resilient than I thought I was, and that spills over to other areas of your life. You get more confidence, your work improves, you're fitter, you're healthier, you're watching what you eat a bit more. And so that is it's been my experience. And then maybe just to close, remember when you're out there on those beautiful farmlands and hills in that area and in any area of our land and this planet, it's a privilege. And I'm dead serious. Be grateful when you're out there taking the pain. Be grateful that your body can do this. Okay, that you're going, hey, I'm 50 and I'm done, 60 Ks already. This is awesome. Be grateful for the experience. Be grateful for the work that you do and the lives that you save. Be grateful for the water you drink. Be grateful for the food you put in your mouth. And just keep saying to yourself, this is a privilege. It's a privilege to be walking with these cool people, to be raising money for this incredible organization. It's a privilege to save these lives. It's a privilege to be out in nature. It's a privilege to have this body that I was given do this awesome walk. And I've just found that those have been the things that have helped me. And that's about it on my list. I hope that helped. I hope it was a sort of a eclectic combination of tips and ideas, some specific, some general. I hope it helps. Shoot with questions. Anything you want to know, any questions about anything I've said, any other suggestions, I'll, with my limited experience, help you in whatever way I can.
Anybody want to jump in? Just unmute and go for it.
Cool, thank you very much. No questions. That was awesome. Thank you.
It's a lot, Lewis, I know, sorry. But you can go back and watch the recording and I hope it helps.
It's great sharing your knowledge. Thank you.
So welcome, guys.
Okay. Right. Anybody want to jump in? Otherwise, Nick, I know that you've got your dinner and you've had a hectically long day. And I think it's fair to say, you talk about privilege, having you come and talk to us and share such profound knowledge is a privilege for us as well. So a huge thank you, my friend.
You're welcome. I've gone through the pain. I've borne the price of it. So those are just some of the things that I've done that have worked to hopefully save you from the inevitable pain that's coming your way.
Cool. Guys, last chance. Anybody want to jump in? Okay. Nick, if you want to stick around, of course you can. I know you've got to get dinner, so if you want to jump off, that's also cool.
I'm going to do that. Enjoy it, guys. I look forward to hearing all the stories, and obviously I'm in touch with Chris, so looking forward to hearing all the wins.
All the war stories and all the wins.
Super respect to the team. Amazing. Ciao, guys.
Ciao.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay. Tash, anything from your side you want to jump in with? I've just got one or two more points, and I think let's call it quits because we're almost an hour and a half in.
Yeah. So guys, I had some of these done. I don't know if you can see that logo. That's the Unchain Our Children logo on it. And then on the back, there you go. So there are 20 of those done. Let me know who wants one. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to all of this. You've all got my details. Of course you do. I've been communicating with all of you for ages. So please feel free if you want to chat to me offline about anything and ask anything. If you've got any concerns, let us know. And obviously, if there's anything right now that you'd like to know beforehand, yeah, just shout as well.
Great. Certainly one of those t-shirts are mine, please. Okay, guys, just as a couple of things just to finish up with. First things first, when it comes to cash, the initial plan we have is that everybody who participates will be asked to raise 1,000 Rand minimum in their own personal capacity. And what Nick was saying, we all have friends that are wealthy enough to put $500 or $200 in, and we can put 5 people together to put 1,000 Rand on the pot. So it's not I don't think it's a huge ask. And, you know, Tash and I was saying, if we can get to September and have 100 people, that's 100K that we're going to put onto the table. Obviously, the intention is that as many people as possible will raise more than 1,000 Rand each. You know, so we can make this a significant event, but we need you to recognize that this is not just a personal happy jaw that we're putting together. This is something that we're doing for a purpose. So yeah, 1,000 Rand is doable, and please more. Second of all, as much as Tash said that 50 Rand for April is on the cards, if you can put a bit of extra cash in, we were thinking probably $200, 250 Rand, whatever it is, just to pay for Natasha and Amy's petrol, and any other incidental that you have. So yeah, please just also consider that we're putting in some cash in our own capacity already to make this happen, and we don't want to have to carry everything on our own. So if you can just make this event feasible by enabling it, by making small donations, and you know, recognizing what's going into making this work. Then there's quite a lot of stuff that's going out onto social media already, and Dale, who's not on the call, has put in some serious time building a website, building a little notice brief that can be distributed. But what would really make a big impact is if you can use your social media networks in your own personal capacity. So, you know, let's imagine you've got 500 people in your network. Well, if there's 50 of us that are putting the note out to 500 people, we're starting to create an enormous network. But also talk to your friends about spreading the word that you're doing this really amazing stuff. So we go exponential on how we can create the word. And what's really exciting is what you see is that this 100K event is a bespoke event. It's unique. Nobody else around is doing a 100K walk for the average Joe Schmo. You know, the 160-mile Kaartkloof is athletes that have been training for years. It's an elitist story. We are tapping into people who want to walk 50Ks, and for them that is a massive achievement. Well, that's something to celebrate. It's really own the essence of what this event is about, and let's really, you know, make it count as to what we're doing, so that we build into this vision of for a couple of years' time, which is what we said earlier. Yeah, and then just I don't know if there's anything else from my side. Yeah, I'll certainly chat to Nick about where do we find some of these stuff that he was talking about, and I'll put it onto the group. And once we find what they are and got some prices, maybe we can just, you know, I'll go to the shops and buy a whole bunch, and we just save a bit of time and hassle for everybody.
It'll be awesome.
On my side, that's
Just a
it.
quick one. Sorry, thank you. If there is anyone with any sort of pre-medical conditions, please, we need to know. So normally we'd have a proper indemnity form you'd have to fill for the real event. But just so that we've got your meds, if there's anything that's anything specifically. Krista says he's got a really big first aid kit, which he's prepared to allow us to use. Again, what we're going to do, because this, for all intensive purposes, is a bunch of friends, even those of you that we haven't met yet down in Natal, soon to become good friends. I really do hope and believe. So if you do use some of that medical kit of Chris's on this event, if we can all just replace it afterwards. You know, obviously in September, that wouldn't be necessary. That will all be covered and sponsored. But for now, you know, we never know. You might graze your knees or, you know, need a bandage or whatever it is. So we would just ask for that. And if there is anything specifically that you need either Amy and I to be carrying for you, let us know. And again, between now and the 27th, you know, I'll make sure that you know the times that you've got to be where. But really, all you need to worry about is being at the Notties Hotel at a time that we will tell you, depending on the distance that you're going to be doing. Ross is on this call. Where's he? There. He's not visual. So Ross and I have spoken. He's quite keen to run quite a bit of this event as well, which is great. So he's an experienced trail runner. And he said as well, he'll sort of run, walk and do bits and pieces as he feels, as he goes along. So yeah, feel free to run, walk, do your thing, have fun. Chad is on here. Chad, thanks for joining us. I know he was a little bit late. Chad is an absolute guru when it comes to filming and photography and editing. He's going to be sending some drones up, and we'll be doing interviews. And so along the way, we just encourage you, please, to take as many videos and photos as possible, particularly if someone's doing anything silly or embarrassing. We'd really like that on film. And yeah, I just look forward to building all of this with you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So guys, last one, just on the money side of things, and feel bad that I'm pushing the more hardcore logistics. If anybody wants to join and they're in your networks, or you're part of a running club or a cycling club or whatever the case may be, at this stage of the game, we're looking at probably between 500 to 1,000 Rand as a joining fee. And that'll be payable in September, not for this one in April. The one in April, just a practice walk. But obviously, we need to pay for the ambulance. We've got to pay for the statutory stuff like the medical guys on site, and so on. And so, yeah, that's where we are at the moment.
Okay, Chris, sorry, I'm just going to come in there. It's going to be 1,500 to 2,000 Rand entry fee in September. Okay, and the reason being is just by default of entering, 1,000 Rand is going to go to Unchain Our Children as your contribution. The other 500 Rand, or possibly more, we need to figure that out, is going to cover the ambulances, the water, the marshals, the police. There's a lot that goes into that as well. So I don't think we're going to get away with much less than, definitely not less than 1,500 Rand, which for those of you that are used to doing events, that's pretty cheap. That's in fact very cheap for an ultra distance event. Again, Ross, I don't know if you've got any feedback on that with some of the big races that you've done. But yeah, it really is really affordable. We're asking very little for this event.
Yeah, guys, so just to double check, the 1,000 Rand that you get in, that's going to go straight to the to Wayne and the team, and then 500 to 1,000 to covering the costs, the framework costs that we have to have in place legally, and of course to make the event work.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Guys, any last questions? It's an hour and a half, so thank you very much for your time. Any last comments or thoughts?
Wayne,
you want to jump in there? I think, Wayne, I see you.
Yeah, guys, I just want to say thank you for this planning. It's like Yeah, it's way above my pay grade. But the time and the effort that everyone's putting in here, it's really appreciated. And I see your dedication in making this work for a worthy cause. And I definitely will be walking in September, even if it's 25 Ks, but I definitely will be walking. And we as an organization will see what we can also do to try and help Tash and Amy just with some expenses for the trial run, that, for you guys going down now, even if it's $2,000 that I can donate through to Amy for fuel and stuff like that. Just to show our appreciation and our token of support as well.